Whittaker Weekly is a 3-episode anime discussion podcast where two brothers discuss a show of their choice. The show can be anything from a current season flop to a decades-old classic. What are they going to talk about next? Who knows? They sure don't. I'm Andrew.
I'm Lee.
And this is Whittaker Weekly. Let's get right into it.
All right. So I understand you have some news from about a Castlevania producer.
Yeah. So apparently, and I don't know if this is a rumor or not, let me go ahead and just pull up the link. But, with the rousing success of the Castlevania series, apparently the producer is currently in talks with Nintendo to create a Legend of Zelda series, which could be really, really good. I would much prefer, simply because of the scope of Zelda, I'd much prefer a long or multi-episode series.
Absolutely.
Kind of covering things rather than just having a 90-minute movie.
Yes.
So yeah, and then we have a little bit more news as well. We got Netflix reveals Henry Cavill as Geralt in the Witcher series.
Yes, a very brief clip of him, which has already been memed to death.
Oh yeah.
Features Henry Cavill stepping forward, face still half in shadow, looking grim or bored. I can't really tell. And then drinking heavily from a flask of some kind.
It's probably one of the spell potions that Geralt needs to drink in order to... Witchers drink potions made from monsters, from monster pieces, to give themselves abilities to fight other monsters.
Sure.
And those potions usually wreak havoc on their bodies. It's not an easy job being a Witcher. But a lot of people complaining about the costume and stuff like that. I kind of want to wait to see it in motion before I judge anything. Also, from what I've heard, this series is supposed to take place when Geralt is younger. And the Geralt we're used to in the video games, he's a grizzly old, like 170-year-old man.
Yeah.
So, I could be wrong about the age, but he's up there in his years.
Sure.
So anyway, it's supposed to be a younger Geralt anyways.
Right.
So, and then we got some other news as well.
Yes, apparently Mob Psycho 100 Season 2 has released its new promo trailer. And we'll have a link to that on our website, so come visit us at WhittakerWeekly.com, and we'll have a link to that on the same page as this episode.
Okay. And for the last bit of news before we get into 3 episodes in, you told me about this today. Apparently this was just announced this morning.
Just announced this morning, Goku is getting a balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Because when you think American icon for the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, the first thing that comes to my mind is Goku. That's sarcasm, if you guys couldn't tell.
Oh. But no, apparently Goku is the first manga character to appear in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. But they're going with his...
That's not true. Spider-Man's been in manga.
While Spider-Man has been in manga...
Hey.
That's not where he started.
You said manga character. So, ha!
That's what the article says that I'm linking people to.
Well, the article's wrong.
Oh, then the article is wrong if Spider-Man has been in a manga.
Yeah. They had an Attack on Titan
technically Luke
Marvel...
Skywalker's been in a manga, if you really want to...
Yeah, I mean, but has Luke Skywalker had a Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade? I mean, it would make more sense to have Luke Skywalker have a balloon in the parade, considering how much of an American icon he is compared to Goku. But, whatever.
But the link I'll send you to has a video of them prepping the balloon and just getting all the details of how it's going to be shaped and whatnot. And apparently they're basing it off of his blue hair Saiyan version.
Okay.
So
the Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan mode or whatever.
Something like that, because it starts black, then he goes Super Saiyan versions 1 through 4, and they're all gold. And then he goes into God mode, which turns his hair red. and then he goes to extreme God mode, which I haven't gotten that far into Dragon Ball Super yet, where it turns blue.
He doesn't even have to turn his hair gold to become Super Saiyan God. For his hair to go red.
Yeah,
it's the other Saiyans that put their power
I've
into
seen that
him.
much of it. I've seen his hair go. I've seen him go into God mode where he has red. I haven't seen him turn blue.
He's got his latest form in the series.
He's still fighting the God of Destruction in the first arc. And that's how I'm not far at all.
I'm not very far in it either, but I've been reading the manga, so I'm way far ahead of where I am in the show. Though the manga apparently isn't as far as the show. But Goku attains a new level where his hair turns silver, and it's called Ultra Instinct mode. And what that means is that he's no longer thinking; his body just reacts.
Wow.
So,
okay, so that wraps it up for the news. Not a lot this week.
Yeah, though I was going to say, for those of you who weren't aware of Spider-Man being in the manga, there was a Marvel Attack on Titan crossover, where the Marvel superheroes were fighting the Titans from Attack on Titan. I'd never read it. Apparently it wasn't very good from what I heard, but Spider-Man's been in the manga, and he's been in the parade for years.
Okay. Still, the greatest Spider-Man Attack on Titan thing I've ever seen is the one with Deadpool, with Spider-Man wrapped around his waist beating his slingshot, and Deadpool's got his swords out, shouting the theme song.
He is being Deadpool's 3D maneuver gear.
3D maneuver gear. Spider-Man is Deadpool's 3D maneuver gear. And Deadpool's got both katanas out, singing the opening line to the season 1 opener.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into the episode, though. This week we watched Zombieland Saga.
Yes.
And I need to apologize. I didn't get a chance to rewatch the first 3 episodes. Time got away from me this week. I have seen the first 3 episodes. I held off on watching episode 4 until we recorded today. But I just did not have the chance to watch episodes 1, 2, and 3 again after we announced what we were watching last week.
All right. But I actually managed to watch it twice.
You jerk.
Once by myself, and then once again with my oldest. And she absolutely adores this show, and I can't wait to get into it.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and get started.
So this show starts with our protagonist, Sakura, watching a pop idol group performing on her laptop while she's getting ready in the morning. And it's not clear whether she's getting... It seems like she's getting ready to go to school, but also she has an envelope with her, which seems to be like an application for a pop idol group.
What's probably his plan is that, or what she's doing, from what I gathered, is that she's on her way to school, but she's going to be dropping off this application in the mailbox on her way to school.
Yes. And
it's established that she's kind of ditzy and kind of a klutz at the very beginning.
It is.
Kind of tripping over herself while she's getting ready.
It wasn't until I watched it for the second time through that I realized that one of the other main characters is the center stage of the show that she's watching.
They reveal that in episode 3. When the 2 girls that are talking, the ones who, we'll get to it, but they have a flashback of that video, and like, okay, that's where it comes from.
My oldest figured it out the moment she saw her. Mm-hmm. Like, she was able to identify.
Oh, wow.
She just latched on to who that character was the moment she saw her the first time, and then was able to identify her later in that episode.
Well, isn't your oldest just a smart little bean?
She is a smart little one. I don't know what that last word you said was.
Bean.
Bean. Okay.
Anyway,
so Sakura...
We also see a calendar that says 2008.
Ah.
Okay, I don't know if you noticed that, but...
I didn't notice the calendar, but I did notice that it was... But it does come up later.
Yeah,
but,
the calendar says 2000. Yeah, the calendar says 2008 on it. I think September or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, and
so she heads out, is on her way to school, isn't looking where she's going,
and she's going to fulfill her dream to be an idol. She wants to do this so badly, and as soon as she steps onto the road, what happens?
Great big white van smacks right into her.
A truck. Mm-hmm.
Changes the entire mood. There's a literal shift in the change of the mood of the show.
It's very happy, cheery and stuff at the very beginning.
And then it goes into heavy metal. As she's flying through the air.
In slow motion.
Mm-hmm.
And my first thought when I saw that, because I had not looked into the show at all when I started watching it, was that, I wonder if that driver's a zombie, and like this is part of the zombie apocalypse, and that they're just not aware of it. But anyway, it's flying. She's flying through the air, And she lands, and she very much, her eyes are dead and things like that.
Yep.
She's been killed by the car.
Yes, and so it goes through an opening credit sequence. It's not the official OP, but it's, which they don't get into until episode 2,
Yeah.
which is a standard. But it does go through a bit of opening credits as she's flying through the air and then lands with dead eyes. Cut to her eyes are alive, but it's, well, it's now a dark and stormy night. She's no longer outdoors, she's indoors. She's in some kind of manor house or mansion or something, and the rain, and it's dark inside, and the rain is pelting the windows, and lightning is flashing outside, and she's alive. And is in the dark and doesn't know what's going on, is very terrified about her situation, and the door to the room she's in creaks very slowly.
And we should probably reveal that her name is Sakura, just so... Yeah. I don't know. Did you drop that? I missed you dropping that. Okay.
Yeah, so Sakura gets up. I think it's Miyamoto Sakura?
Minamoto
Sakura. So Minamoto Sakura gets up and is going through this mansion, trying to find her way out, trying to figure out where she is, when through a glass door or window inside the house, a zombie leaps at her, crashes through the window, hits the wall opposite her, crumbles up into a messy pile of limbs and
is still trying to get to her, but she can't move.
And then starts getting up. And Sakura just runs from this creature.
And as she's running through the house, she keeps running into more and more zombies.
Well, she runs into a room. Runs into a room, shuts the door, trips over one body.
I don't think we need to play by play. She just goes to this house, and there's lots of zombies,
and
she
keeps
keeps
eventually
getting
surrounded
out
by these zombies, and she's completely surrounded. Throws a poker cue through one of their heads, and then finally makes it out of the house and runs through the rain.
And she's looking for help. She's asking for anybody to help her and stuff. And she comes across after she crosses.
Well, what's happening is, so we get a good look at her face while she's in the house, but we stop getting a look at her face once she's in the rain. And we just see what we see is her hair, her matted hair over her face, and then rain pouring down her face. And as she's running, and then she sees a police officer who's a bit ornery and a bit of a jerk. That
he's saying, like, "What are you doing out in this typhoon? You should be inside. What are you doing?" type thing.
Do you want me to arrest you? Because I'll arrest you.
And
I don't even want to be out here. I'm soaked down to my underwear.
But she comes up and she screams to him for, "Please help me." And the police officer sees her face and freaks out and shoots her.
Well, what he does is yes, that is exactly what happens. But he doesn't shoot her until she realizes that he's freaked out by her, and she turns around and sees her zombified face in one of those slightly bowed mirrors that are used for seeing around corners, that you'll sometimes see in high traffic areas that have blind spots. And so she sees herself, and then she's shot from behind, and a bullet comes out through her neck, and she collapses backwards halfway before going all the way. And then she's down on the ground. The cop comes over her, and her eyes move, and he's just screaming, "Ah!" He's about to shoot her again when he's smacked in the back of the head with a shovel, and we're introduced to another major character. And who's this guy?
The other major character, it's Tatsumi Kaotaro, and he is dressed up in just kind of a three-piece suit, but he doesn't put his sleeves through the he doesn't put his arms through the sleeves. He just kind of wears it over his shoulder.
Yeah, so it's almost as if he's wearing a cape.
Yeah. Anyway, he takes her back to the house.
And now she's in a room, which is a dark, dank dungeon with bars and a chalkboard.
And she's wondering what is going on.
And the other
zombies are in the room, just kind of, just wandering through the room. And finally, this guy comes back.
And there's a puppy zombie. And the guy has a puppy zombie.
Does she try to pet the puppy zombie and it freaks out?
No. What happens is, as he's confronting her and talking to her about various things, she realizes he's got She realizes how weird this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
He's got fried squid sticking out of his breast pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's not paying attention to the words he's saying. She's just
And
fixated on the fried squid.
And the voice actor for him, we kind of talked about it a bit. The voice actor, his name is Miyano Mamoru, and he's just obviously having a blast with this character, just because every single one of his lines is just so full of energy and vigor, and even no matter how ridiculous of a line it is he's saying, it's just he's having so much fun with it.
Something they do in this show is she asks, how did I become a zombie? He's like, well, have you ever seen a zombie movie? Yes. Well, there you go.
Yeah, they don't bother filling stuff in.
They don't explain it at all. In fact, when she tries to press for more information, he screams at her for being stupid. Don't ask these sort of things. What does it matter?
Yeah, you're a zombie now. That's all that matters.
And I just get the feeling like that's like the author telling the audience, like, couldn't be bothered to come up with a reason that they're zombies. They're just zombies.
They're just zombies. Get over it. Yeah. Except that it's done in a humorous manner rather than the author just being a jerk.
It is.
But really, for the point of the story, it doesn't matter why they're zombies. They just happen to be zombies. And real fast, we should probably clarify the title, Zombieland Saga. Saga is a prefecture in Japan.
Yes.
It's not saying like the Zombieland epic. It's talking. Everything that happens here is all about trying to revitalize Saga.
Saga as a prefecture. They want. He's trying to bring commerce and whatever else. He's trying to put it back on the map.
And his plan is to revitalize what they used to have. Each prefecture would have their own idol groups.
But that's kind of gone away.
That's gone away. They now have more. They have national idol groups who go through the nation and stuff.
Yes.
And he's trying to bring that back. And his idea is to do it with zombie girls.
A zombie pop idol group.
Zombie pop idol group. And he introduces all the other characters, and they're all these legendary characters. Like there's a legendary hostess from feudal Japan.
Yeah, there's a courtesan from feudal Japan.
There's a legendary
there's
a legendary gangster who ran her own motorcycle gang.
Saki, who looks a lot like Rainbow Dash, honestly.
Yeah, she does. And then there's the legendary solo idol.
Yeah, Junko.
And then there's the legendary what is she? The legendary group idol. She was with a group.
Mizuno Ai.
Yeah, Mizuno Ai. And then there's the legendary Tae. He's like, what's legendary about her? She's just legendary, all right?
Well, what's so great about you, huh?
What's so great about you, huh? Huh?
Now, yes, and Lily. He mentions, and Lily was a prodigy actress.
Yes, that's right. And legendary Lily was the prodigy child actress.
So Lily's our group Lolicon.
Mm-hmm. There are a lot of lilies. It does. Yeah. We don't have to go into that. Anyway, I mean, Lily, Junko, Ai, all of them can be considered lolies, and
they're all teens. They're all young teens, but one of them is the childish short one of the group. So I just was thinking that was a label for the short one of the group.
But they his plan is to use this group to revitalize Saga.
And so he introduces all of them and who they all are, and as it turns out, if you're paying attention in episode 1, it is Mizuno Ai, who is the pop idol from...
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Who's also got the poker stuck through her head.
It's, and they do reveal that more clearly in episode 3.
They do.
Episode 1 has them performing at he's like, and we're going to have your first performance tonight. He's like, wait, what? No, what, huh?
Yeah,
and so
what's interesting is at this point, everyone else is just a brain-dead zombie wandering about and not paying attention, and the only one who's aware of anything is Sakura.
Oh, and the excuse for why she looks normal first is that Tatsumi, Tatsumi, his one real talent is being amazing at Hollywood makeup.
Yes.
And so he painted her up to look like she was normal.
And so watching the first episode, it's her makeup that washed out in the rain.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so, which is why her face looked normal earlier. And the reason he put her in that face makeup was to try to help her regain her consciousness. And because she had, he booked the first trip, the book venue.
He was also annoyed by it, though. He's like, "Who would have thought that you would have come back and you ruined all that expensive makeup that I had put on you?" Type thing. So he not only was he through it, he was also annoyed at the exact same time.
There is literally no way of pleasing him 100%.
No,
there will always be something to complain about.
But he says your first job is going to be at this death metal competition.
Yes,
and
because it was an open stage.
It was an open stage.
And they let us on.
And he's like, wait, and she's like, what? Idols and death metal? What? What? No, that doesn't work. Like, we can't go on. It's our first performance. And then after the last band,
so what are you worried about? Ty's gonna bite somebody.
Ty's gonna bite somebody as she is currently biting another one of the zombies.
Yes. So Ty, and it's like, oh, a little biting never hurt anybody. Are you stupid or something?
Yeah, Sakura says that to him. Are you stupid or something? But
Desunobaka? Something. I don't remember.
But they end up on the stage after the last performance.
Well,
they all have their makeup put on and stuff.
Yeah, they get their makeup put on, and when they're backstage, some of the heavy metal music gets into their dressing room where they're getting ready, and they start headbanging convulsively, including knocking over chairs with their heads.
Oh yeah, but they're headbanging in a way that would destroy the human body.
They're headbanging from the hips.
And like their necks are just flopping back and forth as they're doing it. And just like, this is what on earth is going on. But they go on stage, and of course the only one who can say anything is still Sakura, and she's just like, and there's a bunch of scary metal fans in the audience for this little 15-year-old girl. And she,
including a couple of them that become recurring characters.
Yeah, they've
got like a glam metal
after
thing.
After this performance, they become groupies of their band. Yes. But anyway, they like the zombies, that none of them are like in line or anything. They're just kind of wandering around the stage, and then. And
things are going from bad to worse, and she's very shy, and people are heckling her, and
then Tatsumi just turns on the music.
Tatsumi turns on the music, and then Saki, the punk girl, kicks a megaphone, and there's a sound, and she picks up the megaphone, and she starts screaming through it, and the others start headbutting
while she's screaming, and they all just they just all get into it, and they all start doing this, and Sakura's just like, whatever, and starts doing it with them, and the entire time it's just like, that's the most intense headbang I've ever seen. The human body's not capable of doing that. Look at their necks; it's like they're dead. Their necks should be snapping and their heads should be flying off.
Everybody's just so amazed by it, and then Sakura
and they're just so into this music, and then Sakura lets out a
guttural scream into her microphone, and that actually got my daughter to cheer. She's like, come on, do it, let out that primal rage. Oh yes.
But and then Tai does and of course it's Tai. She runs and decides to attack an audience member, and so she just jumps off the stage, and like they start body surfing, and she's trying to bite people and stuff, but they just think it's part of the show. Tai is probably my favorite so far.
Tai is great.
Anyway, so that's kind of the end of episode 1. Ends with everybody else after that performance regaining themselves, except Tai.
Yes. In fact, in the first 3 episodes, Tai doesn't regain her personality, and I hope she never does, because she's just fantastic the way she is.
Or if she does, it'll be near the end of the show. But she is currently just amazing, especially when she chases around the other zombies during rehearsals.
Yes.
And like they're just trying to keep her off of them.
Yeah, she specifically likes targeting.
Isn't it Junko?
Junko. She likes targeting Junko, who's this timid, white-haired little girl who's...
Tai's gonna bite someone.
She keeps biting me. Mm-hmm. Well, you get used to it.
The second episode, they perform in...
Well, the second episode starts with them being involved in trying to get the band together, and nobody is keen on it. Except
nobody wants to do it except Sakura.
Yeah, the punk is not interested because she's more used to being a biker gang leader. Saki is not interested. Ai doesn't want to do it for her own personal reasons. She doesn't believe that this group can become an idol group. Now she has experience being an idol. And actually, when I saw her name, she was a character that I latched onto pretty quickly. Because it's a one-letter difference from Sailor Mercury's name.
Oh,
Because
nerd.
Really? On this show?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It's
But
all
no.
the more scathing because it's coming from me of all people.
So yeah, so from instead of Mizuno Ami, it's Mizuno I. It's just an AI instead of an AMI.
Okay.
So that's how I was able to remember her name. And so it was interesting watching her character grow through this process. But none of the characters really were interested in being a zombie idol group, and the main guy and what's the name of their manager?
Tatsumi.
Tatsumi shows them a video explaining why they need to keep their zombiness a secret. And it's just a video of various zombie movies where people are blowing up zombie heads or smashing zombie heads or shoving a grenade inside a zombie mouth.
Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, that's stupid. Like, why on earth would people treat us that way? Whereas
Sakura's completely... She's been shot.
She's been shot once already. She knows exactly how they're going to react if they realize they're zombies. But anyways, two of the girls sneak out.
Yes, it was Junko and I sneak out intending on going to Tokyo and making something of their lives, trying to find a way back into their lives. I don't know if they're aware. It's been dropped at some point that they died 10 years ago or more. Mm-hmm. So it is now 2018 in the timeline of the show, and it was 2008 when she died.
Well,
so it has been mentioned that it was 10 years since since she died. So it hasn't been established how I died.
Yeah, we don't know how I died because I was probably the one who died the most recent. Because she was alive during the performance when she was watching it, or maybe it could have been their last performance and she was watching it, and then I died shortly after.
Right.
Don't know. Anyways.
Yeah. So, but she looks the same as she did during that performance. So it's not established when exactly she died, but it was established that she was absolutely the lead of a pop idol group.
Before we get any further into this episode, I think we need to discuss the opening credits. The over-the-top, amazing opening credits.
The JoJo-esque opening credits.
Well,
what I've been told.
They out JoJo. I mean, JoJo opening credits are phenomenal. Don't get me wrong; they're always a blast to watch. Great music, great animation, and a lot of times it's very, very in depth. Goes through the entire show.
Right.
But it's just these opening credits are just over the top fun, and everybody's having fun.
And have almost nothing to do with the actual. Well, there's very little to do with the actual show. I mean. For a section of the opening credits, all the main characters are now in jumpsuits with bike helmets of some kind that are all the same style but a different color. So they look like a Seinen group.
Yeah, they
look like a Power Rangers group.
Yeah, they look like a Power Rangers group, and they start fighting things as these Power Rangers. And then we've got the manager teaching zombies how to dance, and the zombies he teaches to dance are dressed up in like schoolboy outfits, like Angus Young from AC/DC. They got the shorts and the white T-shirt.
And one of the clips, he gets up there, and then he starts moonwalking backwards, does the spin and the pose, and then gets eaten by the giant dog.
Uh-huh. Though I haven't watched the episode yet, but I just saw a GIF, and someone was like, "Can Zombie Like Saga really get away with this?" And somebody is dressed up in a giant rabbit suit, and he does the moonwalk and Michael Jackson dance in that outfit. And someone responded with a post of Thriller. It's like, yeah, they can get away with this. Yes. It's almost as if this show was made by fans of Thriller, and they just wanted to do Thriller, but with idols.
Exactly. That's exactly what this is. This is a retelling of the Thriller story.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, which makes him Vincent Price.
Oh gosh. Anyway, let's not go there.
Okay. So what happens is the two girls try to sneak off, and Sakura goes with them.
She goes after them.
She tries to talk them into coming back, but she doesn't force them.
Who also goes, because there's a fourth girl.
No, it's just the three.
Is there I could have sworn there's a fourth girl.
It's just the three.
Okay.
And so just those three girls, Junko, Ai, and Sakura, are going, have left. Sakura's trying to get them to come back, or trying to talk them in.
They're not. They look like zombies right now as well.
They do look like zombies.
They don't have their makeup on. They look like zombies.
And so they're going down an alleyway when a car pulls up playing hip-hop music, and three guys come out and start beatboxing and improvising their own hip-hop lyrics, talking about asking these girls out on a date. And these girls start walking away from them, and these guys keep coming. And then they're cornered. The guys keep coming, and then the police officer from episode 1
shows up,
and then he starts rapping about arresting them.
About arresting the guys because they're obviously coming after these girls who want nothing to do with them.
Yes.
But his rap is obviously a lot worse than
so bad.
Than the thugs. But he walks up and he then sees the 3 zombie girls. And he pulls out his gun and starts shooting at them. And he misses every single one.
And then suddenly the girls are screaming because they're getting shot at. The guys are screaming.
Because now they see that they're zombies because they can see them in light now.
Oh, and the cop is screaming. And it's just...
The girls are hiding in shadows and stuff like that. And the cop comes up and the girls say, "Thank you, officer, so much." And they go out into the light. And then everybody can see that they're zombies.
Yes.
And the cop freaks out and starts shooting them again.
Now, Sakura recognizes her, but it is I who steps into the light, and that causes the problems. But yes. It's like, no, don't. You don't understand. Now she understands.
And
now they're back in the...
And the girls ran away and they went back to the mansion and stuff like that. They got away from the cop.
Now they're
They got away from the cop because the thugs went to the cop for help and started like smothering him and saying, "Please help us, get us out of here," type thing. So yeah.
So and the girls ran away. So they go back to their mansion or their manor house, wherever it is at their base of operations. And some discussions happen, and then, but this whole time, every last one of them thinks there's no way this is going to work. Cut to the interior of a large van, where the guy is now putting on makeup and going into great detail. Tatsumi is putting on great makeup on Sakura and telling her how important it is to be wearing makeup while holding a brush in his mouth. And she's like, "I don't understand a word you're saying." And then Saki, seeing a reflection of herself, is, "Oh my gosh, I'm hot again. We might actually do this.
This is incredible." And they go in, and it's at an old person. It's at a retirement home they're performing at this time.
Something like that. Some
really?
Community center.
Oh, and Tatsumi has changed the name of the group. Yes. So they had one name in episode 1.
It was Death Musume.
Death Musume.
Death Musume in the first one, and now it's Green Face in the second one.
Death Musume means Death Daughter. And the groupies are there at this old, like the 2 guys from the first episode are so excited to see these guys perform again, and it's completely different. A different name and everything. They're just all super disappointed.
Are they not doing metal anymore?
Oh, but then, well, I forget how it happens, how it starts. Do you remember how it starts? But it breaks out into a rap battle.
Well, okay, so the way it starts is they're supposed to do something. But so she's introducing everybody. Sakura is number 1. So instead of giving out names and people realizing that they're actually zombies of people who used to live, they're just giving out names now. So she's number 1. Amiya's it's Saki is 4. Ai is 3. Juno is 2. The courtesan is 5. Lily is 6, and Tai is 0.
Tai is 0, and Tai's just standing there like the entire time.
Well, what happens is, as they're trying to get started, it turns out somebody in the front of the audience is eating fried shrimp.
Oh, that's right.
And so
in order to keep Tai and the other zombies under control, we didn't say this earlier. Yes. We probably should.
Yes, getting to it.
Tatsumi used the fried shrimp to
the fried squid.
The fried squid to feed it to the zombies so they would have something to chew on.
Yes, and what's interesting is in one of the scenes is he back in the first episode, that's when he feeds a little bit of that fried you got me saying
squid.
Fried squid to the dog, and the dog goes from itty bitty pug-nosed puppy to giant wolf to eat it and go back down, and it just scares the crap out of poor Sakura. And that dog does the same thing when Ai is trying to leave. Is that the dog wants in, and so he's just barking. He sees somebody at the door and he's barking at the door, but when Ai looks out, it's the beast jumping up and licking the window and scaring her to death. But it cuts back to him and he's just being a little puppy. I want in. But anyway, and so in this scene, Tai wants the fried squid that this guy's eating, and so she lunges for him, and Sakura reaches out to stop her and grabs her arm, and the arm pops off, and Tai loses balance and lands on the ground, and her head pops off, and it lands in this guy's lap, and she's like, ah, ah, ah. And he's like, oh, did you want some of this? And so he gives her some of the squid, and she's happily. And so Sakura runs in. It's like, it's a trick. Aren't we great? Like, oh, there you go.
All the old people are just like, oh, that's wonderful.
And so she's and it's like, and then the body starts walking off. And so she tosses it over to Saki, catch! And she's trying to collect the body, and she's grabbing the body and sitting it down, and then she ends up having a tug of war with the head, trying to put it on with Saki, because Saki thinks this is hilarious, and she doesn't care. And at that
Saki
point,
thinks this is the best thing ever.
And then so she's doing this, and that's when Sakura smacks Tai's face in this slow motion Van Damme maneuver, where it's from 3 different shots. Smacks Tai's face and slams her into the back wall.
What are we supposed to do if people figure out that we're zombies?
Can you try harder not to let everybody know we're zombies?
Yeah.
And then she starts yelling at her from the microphone, and her yelling happens to rhyme, and then she retorts back, and it happens to rhyme, and then behind the scenes. What's his name?
Tatsumi.
Tatsumi starts beatboxing. And then it breaks into this just amazing freeform rap battle between... To which the courtesan starts playing her lute-like instrument.
The shamisen.
The shamisen. And Lily decides she wants to join in on the... and starts helping with the beatboxing.
Yeah, but she starts playing the shamisen, and she starts making noises every once in a while in beat with the music. Just like, hop, hop. Type stuff.
Yes.
And it's just this incredible beatbox. It's just this incredible freeform rap battle between Sakura and Saki. And
now up to this point, Saki has been threatening and demeaning to Sakura because she has all this experience being a very angry biker gang leader, and seeing this goody two shoes who's willing to listen to this guy who's just a complete putz. Like, what? Why would you even do this? She has no respect for her. And so now it goes into this angry rap battle between the two of them, and Sakura smokes her.
Sakura just destroys Saki. And and then because of that, like, she's afraid that Sakura's afraid that, Saki's going to hate her even more. But after that, Saki has nothing but respect for Sakura. She thinks she's the greatest.
Yes. Now, something that happens... Now, something that happened before that scene was and we skipped
to
it
kind
because
of date
to date what's going on is they realize is that
to date Saki's character
is that she gets up is that after having an argument with Sakura and giving up on her, she gets up and goes, my Tamagotchi's probably dead by now. To which I laughed, and I shared that scene with my wife, and she laughed, but I had to explain what a Tamagotchi was to my oldest.
So what's this line from? The one you wrote down?
That's in episode 3.
That's episode 3. Okay, I don't remember that at all.
Okay, so
but that's kind of the end of episode 2.
That is the episode 2, and she actually says Saki says Sakura has an egg-like head like a Tamagotchi, so I like you.
Oh, yeah. But most of the girls have come around at this point.
Yes.
Lily got in on it. She had a lot of fun. Yugiri, who is the courtesan.
Yeah.
She's in on it now. She's having fun. And so at the end of the episode, the only people who aren't in on the whole...
being an idol,
being an idol together are Junko and I. Everybody else is in on it. Well, and Tai's is in on it as she can be.
Yeah.
So
Tai's down.
I'm almost positive that Tai's always just going to be zombie brain, just because taking a look at the cover, everybody's really in on it and looking towards the camera, at the audience, and they're doing their cute poses, and Tai's just over in the corner. Tai's just facing an opposite direction, going in her good makeup. So
now Tai has long black hair with long bangs. And one of the shots of them is they're all in that dungeon room again where they were wandering before. But all of them are sitting in folding chairs in a row. And and everybody's is trying to pay attention, but Ty's at the end eating her own bangs. And the one sitting next to her is Saki, who's just looking at her disgusted, and the one over next to her is I, looking very worried.
Just I hope Ty never changes. She's delightful.
She's the best. Ty is best girl, but not really.
No. I don't know. She's the one who makes me laugh the most, but I don't know if I'd give her title of best girl for this show.
Right.
Anyway.
So episode 3 really starts delving into trying to become more cohesive as a group.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have this whole sequence where where they complain about the manager changing their name for every performance, so they need to have a solid name and a group.
They need to have a leader, and everybody nominates themselves as the leader.
Well, no, nobody nominates themselves. The only person to nominate themselves as the leader
was
Saki.
Mm-hmm.
But when she stands up, she shouts very, very authoritatively, and then you actually, while she's shouting, you hear motorcycle engines revving in her shouting. Mm-hmm. So this is somebody shouting, expecting to be heard as a leader of a bike gang whose motorcycles are currently running.
Yeah.
And she's in an enclosed room doing this with no other sounds.
And everyone's just, yeah.
Oh, she's loud. Mm-hmm. You're like, no one's going to challenge you for that. You can be group leader.
But then she eventually turns the title over to Sakura.
Probably.
Yeah. Why? Well, doesn't she do it in episode 3?
Not in episode 3.
Okay, but anyway, but they eventually decide on a name. Did you write the name down?
Well, I remember the name, and so they're all having a debate about the name. Mm-hmm. And what's fantastic is both the courtesan and Saki have a chance to write ideas for the names on the board. Mm-hmm. And one of the names that Saki writes is like Death Rot Stink or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it's written out in kanji. It's like, so how do we pronounce this? Jean d'Arc.
Jean d'Arc.
And the courtesan's like, I like it. But Lily Chan's like, that's not cute at all. Yeah. But what's funny is she wrote it on a board with a dry erase marker, mm-hmm. but it looks like it's spray painted like a tag.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's the style of how it appears there, with drip marks and everything.
Yep,
it's fantastic.
It's kind of awesome.
And then
I like it.
And then the courtesan has her chance to write a suggestion. I don't remember what it was precisely, but it was. But it's very elegant, flowing. Like you could do it with. It's what you expect from a very large pen or a very large paintbrush. Mm-hmm. To have those kind of strokes.
Yeah.
But to do it with a handheld marker, it's like. You spent a lot of time writing that out to make it actually do that. Mm-hmm. But then Ty gets a hold of the marker. Mm-hmm. And everybody's looking at her wondering, is she actually going to wake up? Is she going to come up with an idea? And she's looking at it and looking at it. Just starts sucking
it and they get it away from her.
Sakura's like, you probably shouldn't do that. That's not good for you. And Junko's like, well, we're already zombies.
We're already zombies. What can it do to her?
And then Sakura gets the marker away from Tai, and it goes through the air, and it lands in Junko's hands. And then Tai still wants to eat it, and so she starts chasing Junko around the room. And watching this scene, because Junko is the one who keeps getting chased by Tai. Mm-hmm. And as this is happening, I turn to my daughter and go, look, it's a running gag.
No more talking from you. Anyway. How did your daughter react to that?
She laughed for a good minute, realizing what was going on. Anyway, okay, yeah, now everybody thinks she's not as smart as they thought she was. Mm-hmm. Great. Anyway, no, she's brilliant. And she appreciates me, and she knows to laugh when I'm telling a joke.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Anyway,
okay. So eventually they settle. So what happens is they settle on a certain set of sounds that tries to sound cute, but whatnot. And what they end up going for is, Tai sneezes, and she's sneezing the ink that she sucked out of the marker, and so she's got splattered black hands. Like, oh, that's it, Frau Chuchu.
Frau Chuchu. No, she's saying it, guys. She's saying our name. Frau Chuchu.
Frau Chuchu.
Frau Chuchu. And she's sneezing.
Yes. And so that's their name. Frau Chuchu.
Frau Chuchu. I'm like, that's cute. And they're like, oh, and it came from something disgusting. That's great. And they all love it. So,
Yes.
and
then Saki tries to write out like another morbid way of saying it in kanji. Like, no, not kanji.
No, not kanji.
And so they write it out in
Yep.
I don't remember if it was katakana or hiragana.
I'll have to watch it again. It's been a while since I saw the episode.
Yeah.
But anyway,
they decide on a name, and then they have they decide they're going to start practicing, and then they give up practicing pretty quickly. There's a scene that happens, and they apparently have a park in this place, so the playground set in the outdoors of this mansion, and one of the playground items is 4 seats around a circle by a stationary tube, so it's kind of like a sit and spin, but with 4 seats all facing the direction that you're spinning.
Yeah. And Tai is the one who's pulling it, and everyone else the 4 of the girls are sitting on it as Tai's pulling it.
Yes.
And she's just
Saki's the first one to bail because she realizes this is not safe.
Well, they're just like, and Tai, at first it's nice and slow, but then Tai really starts getting into it, and she starts pulling it faster and faster and faster. And
Saki's the first to bail. Lily's the second to bail, but Sakura's so lost in thought trying to figure out how to.
I'm pretty sure the other one's the courtezan who's on there as well.
The courtesan was in the scene, but she was standing aside smoking her pipe.
There was a 4th girl on it though, or was it always?
No, it was Tai, Saki, Lily, and Sakura.
Okay.
Those are the 4.
Okay.
And
that's right. She's sitting on it as she's pulling it.
Yeah. And Sakura
is so lost in thought
that she's not aware of how fast they're going. And then Tai sneezes and grips the bar, stopping everything. And she goes flying.
And Sakura just goes flying through the air.
And that's that moment that she remembers from the first episode, that feeling that she got when she was on stage about something in her memory. Something was reawakening in her memory. That moment she was on stage and people were cheering for her. And she's trying to remember what that feeling is. And she's like, oh, that's right. That's what I remember. Lands head first in the ground. I can see this being an AMV Hell clip, like, I believe I can fly.
Possibly.
That's just the timing of it.
Oh, if only AMV Hell was still around. Anyway, so they practice, they get these kind of cute little outfits and stuff like that, and they're just not doing very well, but it's time for their performance, and so they go to the performance. It's a gorilla performance they're doing today.
Now in that scene, they're back in the dungeon with the chalkboard, and I can never remember his name. What? Tatsumi? Tatsumi starts writing G-E. Thinks it for about a second. Crosses it out and writes gorilla in katakana.
And it's like, oh, he didn't know how to spell it.
So the courtesan turns to Sakura and says, so what is a gorilla performance? Oh, that's where you don't tell anybody. You just show up with your stuff and start dancing in the middle of the city. And that's when she says, oh, like testing a sword on somebody passing by.
Oh, like testing a sword on somebody passing by.
Yeah, and at that point, Lily is like,
what?
She just leans forward like, what is going on? Where are you from?
Like testing a sword on somebody passing by. What?
It's just this little line that I had to pause it and rewind it to make sure that I heard it right. Like, she said what?
She comes from a very different time period than everybody else. She comes from I'm pretty sure she's pre-Meiji Restoration.
Something like that. So, a very influential person during a revolution is what is.
Or maybe she was alive during the Meiji Revolution or Restoration.
Something like that. But yeah, that was my last item on my list of great things about this show. Was that line? But they eventually go. They're outside. They're about to get started on a gorilla performance when everybody steps out of the van except for Junko and I. And they're, even though everybody's made up to look nice, they're just sitting there, not interested. And something that kept happening during the rehearsal is Lily kept bumping into somebody and tripping, and falling down, and so at this point the animation goes from being strictly 2D cell animation to being a 3D animation for their dancing moves.
which was jarring for me. I don't like how. I mean, it saved them time. I get that. Save them time. Save them money.
Right.
But it doesn't look good.
No.
I mean,
agree.
there are times. There's a show I've been watching on my own. We probably won't talk about it here. But Goblin Slayer. There are times where everybody else is hand drawn except for Goblin Slayer. They went ahead and they made him 3D, and it stands out. It doesn't look good. Anyway.
Yeah, I agree. But it was what's even odd is that while they're doing their dance, and what it's got to be is that it's really, the technique is for motion capture puppetry. So what happens with motion capture is you got people in these suits and this rig that can track how they're moving their bodies around. And so what they probably did is actually get a pop idol group to motion track dance moves for these kind of scenes so they'd be more authentic. But not enough money was spent on translating it from that motion to in front of them. Now, a similar technique was absolutely used for the ending credits of Haruhi Suzumiya, but they didn't try crazy angles of the 3D as well. It was straight on almost the entire time, and they spent a lot of time fine-tuning the ending credit sequence. And but in this one, they try to do different angles and try to make things interesting, and it makes the 3D that much more obvious, which is part of the jarring effect of it. But what happens in the scene, in the context of the scene, they're doing pretty well. They're starting to get a crowd. Then Lily bumps into Sakura and falls down, and Sakura stops singing and takes care of her. And at that moment, just before that moment, we see inside the van, and Junko and I are mouthing along to the music. So they know the lyrics, and some part of them does miss being out in the open like that, even though they don't want to contribute at this point. Well, the tripping happens, and it goes back into the van, and crosses the van to the closer window and says, "No, keep singing. You've got to keep singing." Because she knows. She knows the show must go on. She knows what's supposed to happen.
Well, and then...
And the crowd starts dispersing. Because the singing stopped. And then Sakura and Lily get up and try to resume from where they were. And then suddenly Sakura forgets the lyrics.
She's completely forgotten the lyrics.
And then people start... And she starts hearing the laughing from the crowd. Like, what are these people doing? And walking off, and like, what? Come on, please come back to me, lyrics, please. And then suddenly somebody else starts singing, and it's I and Junko have joined in the group and are contributing, and they are bringing and it's clear that they're bringing a level of professionalism with them. That comes from years of experience on both their parts. To the group, and they finish the song. But as they're doing this, suddenly they notice I want to say a 7-year-old girl.
There's a real young girl. 6, 7.
Starts mimicking the dancing and grouping along with them. It's like their first legit fan who isn't an old boy.
I'm looking forward to seeing those two become pop idol fans, though, as opposed to death metal fans. They're gonna have fun with those two characters,
yes,
as long as they keep using them. But yeah,
and I hope one of them just never loses the lightning and star makeup that he just happens to have on his face.
I hope that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to him dressing up in like the crazy, idol fan outfit, where he's got like the shirt and like or whatever their getup is gonna be, but he still has the makeup for the star and the lightning on his face.
Yes.
So. Anyway, the episode kind of ends with them chatting, and Junko
start thinking, yeah.
And then I and Junko are talking to each other about actually it might be fun doing it with this group.
Junko's reason is if you're paying attention to the subtext, Junko's reasoning for not wanting to join the group is that she's always been a solo act.
Yeah.
And she says, you know what? I didn't think it would be, but joining in on a group is kind of fun.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sakura comes in, does a waist deep bow, and thanks
Mm-hmm.
them for contributing, for being part of it, and how grateful she is. And
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't make a, she's very grateful, but she doesn't try to make a big deal of their contribution. She doesn't
Mm-hmm.
try to embarrass them, or she's just
Mm-hmm.
very, very grateful.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks them again and leaves. And after she's left alone, we finally get a glimpse into why I has been so reluctant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because she's already walked the path. She's already done the process, gone from scratch to one of the top pop idol groups.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in no way excited about doing it again.
Well,
she didn't want to go through that again.
That, or she had such a bad experience after they got to the top. They haven't always.
They haven't really delved into it, but what she says is, so starting over, huh? And so I'm just picturing, it's kind of like an athlete, like a marathon runner losing a leg, and then having to go through, having to go through therapy with a prosthetic, just to get to where they were before.
I didn't get that sense at all. I got the sense that something bad happened, that either her group split up or something. There was some bad blood in there, and she wanted nothing more to do with idol life because of that. That's the feel that I got from it.
Okay.
So but I could be wrong.
Just from the first 3 episodes, that's what I got. I haven't looked more into it.
Well, neither have I. That's just the vibe that I got from the first 3 episodes.
So yeah, there's a lot there. So clearly, there's some subtext there that needs addressing, and one of us could be right, and it's possible neither of us are right. That there's a third reason that we haven't really delved into. It is a subplot that has not been they've only scratched the surface of.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it for Zombieland Saga. You've already said you want to watch more of it, and I definitely want to watch more of it. It's a delightful show. According to Anime News, or my anime list, it's rated R for violence and language. And I was thinking, what on earth? Why would it be rated R? And I was like, oh, the scene with the zombie clips. Like, the scene with the zombie clips is fairly gory, but the rest of the show isn't gory in the slightest.
No.
I mean, you see Ty's head falls off and rolls through the audience. No blood at all.
So what happens? Okay, so there's a lot. So there is blood in the scene with the van. There is some blood there. But as I'm watching this show in my family room with Jasmine, Wendy is coming in to ask me questions just before that clip starts.
That girl has the worst timing in the world.
And so I'm pausing it going, how can we help you so that you leave and don't come back? Because yes, I couldn't watch that scene with my 7-year-old.
Oh, it's time for her to grow up anyway.
The last thing I need to deal with is her nightmares. I mean, she's already traumatized by one of our neighbors trick-or-treating at his house.
Really?
Yeah, apparently they thought it would be a fun idea to pretend that their front yard is like a haunted attraction and had people in masks chasing people around.
Wow.
There's video of it, and some people are laughing and some people are traumatized, and some people just can't handle going to
my friends and I, we did a haunted house one year in another friend's burned down house. And it was the dumbest idea ever, having a haunted house in a burned down house, but it actually worked out really, really well. One of our scariest attractions, though, was some guy in a hockey mask chasing people through the backyard with a rusty lawnmower. So
I think I remember hearing about this.
So yeah, you would hear the brrrr, people would think that it was a chainsaw, and then suddenly this guy would come out chasing you with a lawnmower, and we thought it was the funniest thing ever because we couldn't afford a chainsaw. So how pathetic would it be to have someone chase you down with a lawnmower?
That'd be pretty ineffective. I mean, you'd have to get him dead on.
But that was the scariest thing we had that night, because the rest of the haunted house was just kind of a big joke, and everybody knew that it was a big joke. But
so what system has this rated R?
MyAnimeList.com.
Oh, okay.
That's why I had that pulled up for the characters' names and stuff.
Because one of the big controversies about Goblin Hunter or Goblin Slayer was that Crunchyroll had it listed as PG.
Yeah, they had it listed wrong. And they admitted that,
and
and
then
they did it
fixed
wrong, and they fixed it. And every episode now has a content warning on it.
Yeah.
Um.
After that blowback,
Mm-hmm.
which is good. I mean, you want your content properly labeled.
Anyway, that's it for Zombieland Saga.
Right.
What are we watching for next week's episode?
Okay, next week we're watching another series that is started streaming this season. I think it's pronounced Rewrited.
Okay.
Derrida Who Leaps Through Time. The synopsis is, in 2050, engineer Derrida Yavain is famous for his contribution to autonomous machine DZ at his father's company, Rebuild. When he and his colleague Nathan discover a dangerous flaw in their creation, their warnings go ignored. The next day, after Nathan's daughter Maggie's birthday party, the group barely escapes an attack by unknown forces, leading to Derrida's unwitting captivity in cryogenic stasis. 10 years later, he emerges in a world at war with the mechanical lifeforms he helped create. Now he fights to survive his nightmare future to make good his promise to take care of Maggie. Okay, so looks like an action thriller version of it looks a little bit like Lightyear and or Futurama. Like a serious version of Futurama.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to giving it a try.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes for next week. That's it for 3 episodes in. Let's go ahead and move on. Next up, we have recommendation of the week.
Right. This week it's your turn.
Yeah. Sorry, there's a lot of car that just went by. Sorry about that, everyone. But recommendation of the week is my turn this week, and I have recently discovered a manga. And this manga was done by Yoshikawa Miki. And Yoshikawa Miki, she did the manga for Yamada-kun and the Seven Witches.
Okay.
Which pretty sure I've talked to you about this show before in the past, but it's a romantic comedy where the main character suddenly realizes that he has the ability to switch bodies with people, but only when he kisses them. And he learns this by falling down the stairs one day and landing face to face with the prettiest girl in school. And he wakes up in the infirmary in her body. And it's a really, really delightful. They made a great anime about it. And the manga keeps going. Like, the anime's got a good, solid ending. But if you want more, the manga kept going, and I read the manga, and I absolutely loved it. And I learned recently that this woman, Yoshikawa Miki, had another manga, and I decided to give that a try. And that's Yankee-kun and Megane-chan. And a Yankee is a thug, a punk type character, and Megane means glasses.
Yes.
And it starts off with this guy.
So it sounds like a Beauty and the Beast sort of.
Kind of, but not.
Okay.
Because he this Yankee, this punk, he hates school activities. He skips classes all the time. And he's skipping classes in one of his favorite places to skip classes. He's got the stall furthest from the door in a boys' restroom in a certain part of the school. And he looks up while he's in there taking a smoking break for himself. He's a freshman at this time, or like, I guess, a first year in high school. And he looks up and there's this girl with glasses saying, "Will you please come on the school trip with me?" And he's like, "What?" And this girl will not leave him alone. There's this great shot of him trying to leave the school, and he's wondering why his leg is so heavy, and he looks down, and she's been dragging onto his leg, and she's got glasses and these twin braids and stuff like that, and she's just kind of this adorable looking girl. And finally, he agrees to it, kind of have her to get her to stop bothering him. And he goes and he ends up having kind of a fun time. Anyway, he
keep going.
Okay. Anyway, he a few chapters in, we learn that the reason that she desperately wanted him to go, like, he thinks, well, maybe she likes me, you know? But when he finally learns the reason that she wanted him to go, it turns out she's a former Yankee as well, and she's trying to she came to high school, to this school with it to reimage herself. And she always wanted to go on these trips, but she never did before because she was a Yankee, and they can't be bothered doing stuff like that. But she doesn't know how to talk to normal people. She only knows how to talk to Yankees. So she had him go along so she would have somebody to talk to on this trip. And it's only about 212-ish chapters, I think. I'm about 130 chapters into it. And it's just evolved and become this great story. Kind of a romantic comedy type thing. It's a delightful, fun story. I highly recommend that our listeners read it if they get the chance. Once again, the name is Yankee-kun and Megane-chan. So,
by Yoshikawa Miki.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And if you can, we'll provide a link to some place where you can find it online. If you can.
If I can. Right. I don't want to be providing links to illegal manga sites.
I don't think you should, but maybe if there's a place that people can buy it, we'll link to that. Or, or free,
I don't know if it's been translated into English legally. You know, I don't know. If that's the case, then yeah, I can provide a site where I've been reading it. But anyway.
Okay. All right, so that brings us to our creator shout out.
And that's your turn this time.
That is my turn this time. And this time I'm giving a shout out to Samantha Sawyer, who goes by Sincerely Sammy online. I met her at Anime Expo a couple weeks back.
Oh, okay.
And bought 3 of her prints to give to my kids as a gift. Mm-hmm. So we've got links to her Facebook, Tumblr, YouTube, Instagram, and personal website that we'll put it here on Whittaker Weekly under the episode 30 link.
Yeah. Good deal. All right. That's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening in this week. If you listened on YouTube, please feel free to like this episode and subscribe to our channel. If you like what we do and want to support us, please spread the word of our podcast or even support us on Patreon. Where can they find us on social media?
Our site, Whittaker Weekly, currently has links to our Facebook page, Twitter account, Patreon page, and YouTube channel. We encourage all our listeners to follow us on the social media platform of their preference, and if there's one we're not on yet, please reach out to us on one of the ones we mentioned, and we'll broaden our scope to include you.
All right. Our artwork for our podcast was provided by Ben Coombs.
And the music that you listen to, that opening and ending, is Dry Clock by Brasmatas.
You said that a lot better than I ever did. You're doing that from now on.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, that's been this week's episode. I've been Andrew.
I've been Lee.
And this has been Whittaker Weekly. Have a great week.